and recording.
Maybe Bruce should be the MVP.
Have you noticed?
Most volatile. No, he's not volatile. He's just annoying.
Have you noticed that Bruce's beard is getting grayer and grayer?
Yeah.
Which,
he's getting stressed out by all these youngins.
Well, it's getting stressed out, but in a week's time.
Yeah.
To me, that doesn't read as him getting stressed out. To me, that reads as Bruce dyes his beard. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Scurvivor series. We are glad to welcome you in. Hey, come inside. Come open. The doors are open. We got a nice warm fire here. We got blankets abound, and we're here for a nice.
Sipping on hot cocoa.
You can. Oh, I thought I was gonna say the wind. You can hear the wind roaring outside. So we're excited to have you join us for this episode of Scurvivor series, where we're talking about season 45, and for today's episode, episode 5. Of said season, I don't want to be the worm. So that's the episode title, and that's the theme. I'm your host, Ryan Nightstein. With me, as always, is the beautiful, the lovely Jessie Dubiowski.
Hi. You have to say that because you're marrying me. So
Yes.
does it really count?
Well, I can say whatever I want for the next 2 weeks, and then after that, I'm locked in.
I don't know if you can say whatever you want.
Well, you called me a pig before we started recording.
I did not. I said that'll do, and then I said that'll do, pig, that'll do. It's a quote.
Okay, but the pig is the vocative, so if it's
because he's talking to a pig.
Interesting. Let the record show. Email in if you
He's
have.
talking to an actual pig.
Email in if she's calling me a pig. Scurvivorseries@gmail.com.
And he's a small pig.
He's no pig.
He's a small pig. That's why they couldn't sell him.
Is that why? I've never. Are you talking about Babe or are you talking about Charlotte's Web? Because you didn't know when you were saying the quote. You didn't know.
Babe.
Wouldn't it be Charlotte's Web? Because maybe that's like the spider. That's Charlotte.
No, it's the farmer that says it. I
but
can't
Babe,
remember.
Does Babe talk?
No, but he does stuff. And he goes, "That'll do, pig. That'll do."
He does stuff. That's the quote on the that's the quote on the box. Babe, he does stuff. Well, while you look it up, I just want to say we thank everybody for listening to this week's episode of Scurvivor series, and thank you if you've joined us so far.
It's from Babe.
It's from Babe. There we go. The evidence is clear now. We are excited to get through this. We are rounding the corner to get to the merge. And this was basically the last episode before we get to it. What did you think overall for this episode, Jess? What did you think about this sort of all this pre-merge antics of Survivor this season? Do you like the 90, or I should rather say, do you like the 90-minute expansion? Do you feel like we've officially gotten a lot more about the players or a lot more camp life, or do you think that's working, or you rather just cut to the chase?
I do like it. I do think that you have to learn a lot more about the players. I thought this episode was kind of boring to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like part of it might be that we've gotten, if I'm remembering correctly, quite a few episodes with like one challenge.
Sure.
I feel like
at a certain point
if you're
they stopped
doing the hour and a half, maybe they need to like split up. Well, because I mean they only have so many challenges, so they can't necessarily always double up.
Yeah, you're talking about doing separate reward and immunity challenges.
Yeah, so like, I get that. I mean, they can't make them do 1 million challenges in the 26 days that they're there, or they'll all die of starvation. But
it sounds like previously you've mentioned how the other episodes have bored you. Do you think you're down on this season as per usual, or you previous seasons you liked more up to this point, or what about this season making you sort of just kind of checked out a little bit?
I think there's just not enough drama.
Mm.
I feel like I like the drama. I think drama in real life is dumb, but I love watching drama on TV.
Okay. And there's just not enough for this season so far?
Yeah, and I think if you're going to expand and like do more camp life, like that's good, but it has to be like interesting people.
More camp life would have worked well for Carolyn last season.
Yes.
That would have been perfect.
Agreed. Also, I feel like if they just let Sifu go.
Which is the problem because they're always winning basically,
Yeah,
except for today's episode.
They need Sifu's
Or
tribe
last week's episode.
because like he's fun on camera.
He's something. He's a serial killer on camera.
Yeah, I just think that there's a lot of serious people.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people being professional. Quote
Sure.
unquote. Like they're putting on like. I know you do because it's a social game.
Yeah.
But I feel like I was really excited by the first episode of like Emily calling bullshit on people. Because I was like, this is fun. This is exciting.
This is the drama of
someone
the season.
deciding that I'm just gonna call people out. I'm gonna say screw it to like niceties, and I'm just gonna say what I think.
Yeah.
And while I think that toning it down in a way has helped her, like in her social game, I think she just kind of turned it off. I don't think she toned it down. I think she's just turning off that part of herself. Or I think it's more exciting if she just like toned it down a little bit, you know?
Yeah, no, I get.
Still cause drama.
I get
Come
what you're
on,
saying.
Emily.
It felt like she was maybe the drama that was the character that was going to be for Lulu, while the characters for the other tribes, Reba, obviously Sifu, and I would say Kendra for Bello. And this episode, you know, the
Bruce.
title being "I don't want to be the worm." Well, Bruce, I think, was like a who knows what's going to happen. But I don't want to be the worm, like going with Kendra. Like, we haven't really seen a lot of, like, the weird Kendra stuff that you would expect maybe from her. We saw a lot more of it this episode, but, you know, and we saw a lot more of Sifu last episode, a little bit more this episode. So it's like we missed out on a couple of these people just because of how the dice have played. Yeah. I'm okay with the expanded format. It's just, I think, how the game worked out, it didn't really utilize itself well.
I think they have good players. They don't have as interesting people as we've seen before.
Yeah.
That's where I think that the extended format is kind of a little bit boring sometimes, is because like it's kind of the same because all the people are kind of the same.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah. Well, let's get into the episode proper then. Without further ado, starting off
for that.
Thank you. Starting off with Reba, of course, this is post-Sean vote. Sifu brings up his name, and the girls don't really want to talk about it. He kind of gets them able to open up a little talk about it, and we sort of reveal that Julia's frustrated because it's found out that Sean threw a grenade at them, told Sifu that he didn't vote for them. So now Sifu's all angry about like who voted for him. They all lie to him and tell him, "Oh yeah, we didn't vote for you. We all voted for Sean." So he's like, "Huh, interesting."
Yeah.
But he can't figure out who's lying to him specifically.
I thought it was interesting how Julie really thinks that Sean, like out of nowhere, threw a grenade at them. Like she feels like Sean whispered it in Sifu's ear unprompted.
And I think Dee and Julie really talk about that later in the episode as well. But yes, continue.
But Sifu asked him, which he didn't say.
No.
He brought it up to Sean.
It hasn't been made clear to us that Sifu was asking, not Sean told him explicitly.
Yeah. So, like...
Oh, big old yawn. Big old yawn.
Sorry, I'm a little tired.
We did record this at 11 a.m. Too early for Beanie.
Too early. Yeah, it's just interesting how she feels like he threw that at them.
Yeah, and they're trying to pick up the pieces of whatever's left. I mean, no matter what way you slice it, Sean's gone, so it doesn't really matter. They're still dealt with however it was told to Sifu. They can be mad at Sean all they want. He's gone. Now they have to deal with Sifu, as he later says, erupting his volcano. We go to Bello.
It's not appropriate.
You can't say that on television.
You also can't erupt your volcano at camp. That's rude.
In front of all these ladies?
Yeah.
Be a gentleman, Sifu. At Bello, everyone's hungry on day 10, as they all describe over this montage the food that they want to eat. Various delicacies that they want to enjoy. What they get, however, is a worm. And Kendra...
That works.
Kendra attempts to eat it. I believe there was a line where Brando says that, oh yeah, it's 70% protein, 30% poop. And she's like, wait, what? He's like, I'm joking.
I mean, he's not wrong. I mean, he might be wrong on the percentages, but worms are
a lot of protein.
And they live in their own poop.
Who was the girl last season that was eating worms all the time? The kind of the Kendra-y sort of like yogi sort of person. I don't remember her name at all. It started with a J, maybe?
I think she was blonde?
No? She was like brunette for sure. She was the girl that whenever she came on screen, you would get annoyed by her. Her eyes are wide open, folks.
It was. I can picture her face.
Yeah.
I can picture. I got this. I got this. I got this.
Mm-hmm.
I got this. I got this.
Is it just like
left
Julie?
My brain. No. It left my brain. It was there. Yeah, and then it left. Oh, fuck. What was her name?
I'll let you figure that one out in a minute. So Kendra attempts to eat the worm, fails miserably, basically gets to the back of her throat. She feels it. She doesn't like it, immediately throws it up and says, nope, I'm not doing it anymore. That's fine. And Drew kind of describes that he loves the character of Kendra. Not really someone he really wants to work with, but he loves the character of Kendra.
Jamie.
There it is. Jamie. I was close.
Yeah. Ugh, Jamie.
Ugh. At Lulu, Jake passes out again. Kelly is concerned, of course. She's a critical care nurse, so she try to help him out a little bit. Kelly sort of says that maybe it's because of his low blood sugar and everything, that's the reason Jake is passing out all the time. Which Jake then goes on. He talks about how angry he is and how he really doesn't want to leave, and about his weight loss journey to prep for Survivor. He said he was over 200 pounds before doing this and then lost a crap ton of weight. I mean, he looks really good now. And I think just maybe that, I don't know how soon after losing all the weight and then going on to Survivor it was, but it seems like he lost a lot of weight, went on to Survivor, and now he's like losing probably, I guess, a lot more weight very quickly with the lack of food. His blood sugar hasn't really compensated for anything, and he's passing out. This is his second time. If it is his blood sugar, do you think the doctors on set will have any concerns of pulling him out? Or do you think it could be something else and he's in danger of something going home?
I don't know. I feel like it could just be that, like, I mean, both times it happened, he stood up. Yeah. Real quick.
And I get that a lot too, where I stand up quickly. I'm tall, I'm 6'5", so anytime I stand up, the blood has to travel a very long distance to help me out.
But also, like, on top of that, yes, he hasn't been eating a lot. He hasn't been, like, nourished. Mm-hmm. Like, it's gonna be a lot more worse for him. I don't know. I feel like Kelly could be right. I'm hoping that he doesn't get sent home. I mean, I would get a lot of points if he did, but I don't want him to.
Do you think there's a point where the doctors would step in and say, "No, we got to send you home, even if it's just blood sugar"? I think they just keep him in the game. I think that's just sort of like part of the game.
I think if he
in a weird
passed out,
yeah,
they would be like if he was unconscious for more than that was like a second. I feel like if he was like out, they would pull him out or at least evaluate him.
Yeah. Give him some sort of... I know on the island they get... they do get like a multivitamin pill like every day. They get like a thing to give them their basic vitamins. They get like... Medical team gives them like a basic multivitamin to take every day. And then they have like something of something that they can take or whatever. But... I don't think I don't think that's enough, obviously, to help out his blood sugar. But talk about his weight loss journey. I mean, this guy losing a bunch of weight, like impressive, and good for this Bostonian to get all that weight loss.
Bostonian.
He's got to lose it on the Dunkin' Donuts. Back from commercial, because that's a Boston thing. They like Dunkin' Donuts. Ice Spice, Ben Affleck. Katora looks for an idol while everyone is gone. She sees this opportunity, and she gets pretty much caught by everyone. Caleb tries to help her out, wants to work with Katora, and tries to call her out to try to help her out, but she pretty much gets caught. Everyone figures out what she's kind of doing, and Bruce kind of uses his opportunity. Since last episode, I believe, he talked about this becoming a war between him and Katora. He uses this as sort of an opportunity of like, we all know what she's doing. That makes her a liability, and kind of he's turning the knife a little bit.
She's not the most subtle. I think we've talked about the subtlety is not her strong point.
No.
And she was not very subtle. The throwing of the stick was.
Do you see how? Do you see? It's like she's like kind of lowered her arm, hit it behind her, and then dropped it. It was like, here you go.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I feel like people are always going to assume that if you're wandering alone in the woods, you're looking for an idol. Even if like you're walking, just like toward the group, like they're going to be like, "Why were you alone?" It's like, well, maybe because you left her alone at camp. So like. That's why she's alone.
Yeah.
But
being
I think
completely
they all saw her
yeah.
like digging in a tree.
Yeah. Caleb said that he explicitly saw her digging.
Like, okay, but why are people acting like people aren't going to look for idols?
I don't know.
I think if they stumble on someone looking for an idol, that clearly, like, I don't know, not clearly, but like pretty much guarantees they haven't found one.
True.
So I would be less concerned about that versus like when a player goes off for a while looking for firewood and then comes back. It's like you have no idea.
Yeah.
You have no idea if like everybody's gonna look for idols. It doesn't make her more volatile that she like is looking for an idol. And the fact that they caught her looking for an idol kind of proves to them that she doesn't have one.
That is interesting. Do you think like Austin and Drew on Now Bella were like looking for idols? Like, they're not telling anyone that they have all these things. I think they eventually tell Emily. But do you think, like going to your point of, like, do you think once they find stuff, players continue, quote-unquote, continue to look for idols? Or do you think they just, like, kind of sit back and, like, no, I'm good?
I think if you did it, it would be, like, people have to see you do it.
Yes.
Because if you just go off and come back, people are like, ooh, he probably has an idol. But if you're, like, looking... I think some people probably do. Or they, like, convince someone to go idol hunting with them so that person thinks that they don't have an idol.
Yeah. Do you think it's almost smart, then, to come clean and, like, oh, you just got caught and be like, all right, you found me. Yeah, I was looking for idol. But, and as you're sort of saying, that doesn't mean I got one. So that's good.
I mean, I think that Bruce trying to be like, oh, look at this unpredictable player because she's looking for an idol, I think is dumb. And I think that's this whole thing that I'm like annoyed with the Survivor like era right now of like this thing equals this. Like tribe like strong.
Yeah.
You know, like no like we're always gonna vote for our tribe members even if our tribe members are weak and we need to like strengthen our tribe.
Sure.
Or like if you look for an idol, you're a volatile player. It's like everybody is looking for idols. And again, the fact that she got caught doing it probably means she doesn't have one. Or like if you do it by yourself, I don't know. I feel like that was like the sheep are gonna follow Bruce on that one, but I think that like it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
To be threatened by that. Because clearly she didn't find one. She's still digging in a tree. Yeah,
she seems very. She's still looking for something.
Yeah,
so that's not good.
Like, what else are you gonna do when you're alone at camp?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's gonna do that.
Yeah,
that makes her a predictable player. Honestly, let's be real. That makes her predictable, and that disproves Bruce's point that she is all over the place and can't be trusted.
I would say that's maybe Sifu is all over the place, can't be trusted. But also there's the idol conversation there. Sifu's
just vague and talks in riddles. And like, I feel like you're going to wake up to a handwritten note that is like, under the moon, the water blows. Find me there or you won't go home. Like what?
So is he like trying to give me an idol?
Serial killer riddles.
Oh my God. One little thing before we go over to Reba, before we leave Lulu, we get a little shot here of Caleb talking to Bruce, saying how like, oh, everyone seems to want to work with Kelly, and then Caleb kind of starts a relationship with Kelly here. We sort of saw a similar thing with him starting a relationship with Jake last episode. So interesting. I'm just pointing this out because it showcases Caleb's ability to start relationships, but we're seeing the formation of a Jake relationship with him, a formation of a Kelly relationship with him. Just wanted to see how I think these are just like flags to plant in the path. Reba, Dee tells the story of her parents immigrating from Cuba and saying that she doesn't want to quit, that she wants to win this. A very emotional, touching story. The girls are mad at Sean, as we sort of already alluded to before. Sifu reveals that he's made a fake idol. And he sort of just goes around telling everybody about it because he I think maybe he understands that there's idol conversation around him. So he is sort of just like, all right, I don't want to be this guy, but I'm making a fake idol so that I can just like express, well, I'm safe no matter what. So it's all right with me to try to get this to play into it. It's kind of working. If anything, it strengthens Jay Maya's interest of wanting to get out Sifu in case she thinks it's real.
Well, okay.
We don't get a sense of whether or not these girls think his idol is real or not.
Well,
but they've never seen what the idol looks like.
Okay, I thought he showed it to Jay.
I believe
he showed it to somebody.
I think he showed it to Dee.
Okay. Because I was like, it looks horrible. It does not look like anything.
But to be fair, these girls have never seen an idol, if I'm not mistaken.
You've seen it on TV.
No. Dee and Julie.
They've seen Austin's idol.
Yeah, that's right. They would, and presumably they've seen Austin's idol, so they know what an idol looks like. So there's interesting.
Like shit. It looks like I get it that you kind of idols can look like anything, but his looks like a 3-year-old craft. It's like feathers. It looks like it would have like feathers glued to it and a pipe cleaner twisted around it. Like It's awful.
It looks like it looks like a beaded necklace is what it does.
It doesn't even look like that though. It's like a jumbled mess. It's so funny.
If it makes you feel better, Jess, that's not the worst fake idol. Someone said a fake idol was a stick before, and it worked. That's the previous season. Story for another day. Oh my god. Sifu then speaks in riddles to Jay Maya about Tai Chi to, I wrote down, intimidate her? It was something about learning your opponent's energy so that you can find the best way to trip them or take them down.
Yeah, it's like he's like, I'm good at reading people's energy, but also I'm gonna push back. Like I'm gonna take you down.
Jayma is like, all right, man, you do you. all right, goodbye. just like doesn't know what's happening about him.
Yeah, she's gonna wake up to a letter on her bag. It's like, find me or I kill you.
Your energy has turned from red to black.
Yeah.
Find me or I'll stab you in the back. Sha.
Like the funny thing is, I don't like Sifu doesn't give me the energy of like he doesn't give me true serial killer energy. Like he doesn't seem like the type of person that could actually physically kill somebody.
Of course not.
But he has everything else.
The character of Sifu.
The character of Sifu has everything else other than like I feel like the ability to actually kill somebody. He has like the talking in riddles, the hacking things with a machete while making weird eye contact. Like, what?
The sort of like he says something, someone responds, and then he looks away quietly and saying, like it's like like he's like he's not part of conversations. He's just involved in them.
Yeah, and I'm like, I love it. Yeah, I'm here for it.
Yes, he's a very interesting man. At Bello, Brando bonds with Drew about Pokemon. He then sort of floats out, because of this bonding, floats out a nerd alliance with him and Emily and Drew.
And Drew's like, no.
Drew responds saying that I believe his initial interview was, that's garbage.
But he even says to Brando, he's basically like, no.
Yeah, he basically shuts down Brando completely. Do you think that would have been a good idea for Drew?
No. I think it would have been helpful for Brando.
Sure.
I don't see how that would have benefited Drew.
Based on this episode, of course.
Yeah, I don't see how that would have benefited Drew. Also, okay.
It would have made a majority alliance in the group between the Nerd Alliance. It would have. He leaves Kendra and Drew leaves Austin. It would have made a majority alliance. They can then take out Austin and take out Kendra. But Drew obviously would rather work with Austin.
Yeah, he's his shield.
Correct. That's a great point. And
he needs Austin.
If anything, what this kind of showed is that Brando might not be as tight with Kendra as one were to believe by being former Bello people. So he kind of
Which
maybe
we kind
played
of
his hand.
guessed that they weren't.
Which
Brando
says.
It felt like they hadn't really had a lot of interaction before they got tribe swapped.
He sort of says that later on.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really have... Kendra I have the weakest relationship with on Bello, and now we're on the same tribe.
Yeah.
So he kind of plays his hand here a little bit of like, I'm not really that close to Kendra. I would like to work with other people. And it's like, the people you're talking to are like, we already got our own majority alliance here, so we don't really need you.
Yeah. I think it was fair, Brando, to be like, hey, I kind of got lumped in with this Bello person, but like, I'd rather work with you.
It's a good idea. I think what the next step he needed was to find a way of like, now would be a good time to take out maybe Austin. I think that it wouldn't work maybe against the people, but I think to try to convince Drew, you would have to convince these two very analytical people why taking out Austin now would be a good move. Which
I don't think for Drew that it would be. Because again, Austin is his shield after the merge.
Yeah. So we'll see how that, we know how it plays out with Brando. So Brando, again, recognizes basically the need for Emily. He needs to work with Kendra to sort of get a majority alliance that way, since he can't get one with Drew. And I assume he's not going with Austin. Lulu, Katora is still frustrated about Bruce. They clash about food. By clash, I mean Bruce tells her that not eating because they're running out of papaya is a terrible idea, which I think is fair. But his approaches are always bad.
Yeah. And I think that they were, previously before that, they were talking about how they might have a challenge the next day, right?
Yes, which they do.
And so they were like, well, we should save this for tomorrow, which I agree with.
If you're running out of food.
If your choice is don't eat now and eat eat the day of the challenge, do that. Versus eating now and not eating right before the challenge. Mm-hmm. I think that's dumb.
Yeah, it also just goes to show like how scarce of food is, like on these islands.
Yeah.
Which this is also they're in the Lulu camp, so. Well, actually, I'm confused. I guess they're just haven't found anything because presumably they have the fishing gear that Bello once had. Remember, if we recall, that Caleb stole from Bello, but they couldn't use because they didn't have fire. So they have the fishing gear. I guess this is just like this is all the food we have. We haven't caught any fish yet. So I guess that stinks for them. And also another point here is that Caleb is getting frustrated about Bruce as well.
Yeah.
He's joining the Katora party.
Well, and I think after that, it's like, well, one thing is like, have you ever played like a game on an empty stomach?
Yeah.
It's much harder than like sitting at home on an empty stomach because you're expending a lot of energy. So I agree with Katora, but then also, yeah, Bruce being like, that's a dumb... Oh, I was about to say that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
He still says it.
I don't know. This idea that like, I guess Bruce is like, I'm being honest, but it's like, you're not being honest. You just think any idea that you didn't come up with is awful.
Yeah.
That's not honesty. That's like, what is the word I'm thinking of?
Dishonest?
Conceited?
You know what I also don't like about Bruce's game? Him making an apparent, like making it very obvious when he is Uncle Bruce and quote unquote real Bruce.
Real Bruce here.
Yeah.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah. I don't know if that, that's good. Because he's basically telling everyone that Uncle Bruce is a character he's doing.
Yeah.
For sort of camp morale. That everyone's buying, obviously, but...
Well, not everyone.
Well, not everyone, that's true. Katora is definitely not. Caleb starting to sell his stocks. Reba, J. Maya decides to take the fall of voting for Sifu. She wants to sort of act as the decoy, since no one claimed up to it, since it was, as we learned, it was D that did that. She decides she's just going to take the fall and become the decoy vote, if it comes down to it.
Do you think that's a good strategy for her?
For J. Maya to take the fall, I don't think it's a bad strategy. She already knows that her and Sifu are gunning for each other, in a way. So it's like, why not just then be like, oh yeah, I voted for you. Ultimately, what it does, it protects D and Julie.
Yeah. Do you trust Julie and D enough to not just convince Sifu that and all vote for you?
I don't know. I think the problem is that J. Maya is working of lack of information. Based on what she knows, it makes sense for her to fall on that sword. But if she knew what we are assuming going into the merge, that she is going to be dropped like a bag of bricks by Dee and Julia when they team up with Austin and Drew again, and we assume that J. Maya is going to be dropped, it would be smart to call out, say, Dee was the one that actually voted for you, not me.
Yeah.
Which she still could do when the merge happens, and maybe she works with Sifu then or something. But
yeah, I get it going with the majority because there's 4 of you and you need the numbers. But I also I feel like she's putting a lot of trust in Julie and Dee that she shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And I hope that she has a contingency plan for them.
Yeah, and I don't think she really does. I think that she might think that ride and die. Dee, speaking of, as we talk about whether or not Dee and Julia are going to drop like a bag of bricks, Dee starts wondering about what if we just vote for J. Maya? What if we lost, instead of voting for Sifu, we just tell them, oh yeah, we're voting for Sifu instead. Let's just vote J. Maya. Julie almost likes the idea of J. Maya, but wants to convince Sifu and vote him out with an idol, assuming he has one. They believe he has a fake idol, so I don't know what's happening there. But likes the idea of also, voting out someone with an idol. I think that's a good move for your resume, which it is.
Yeah.
But that argument, before you get to it, again, as we just talked about earlier in the episode, we believe Julie has seen what a real idol looks like. And Dee has seen what a real idol looks like. The idol that he is showing them does not look like what they've seen before.
Not even close. I would get it if it was kind of close. The one that Matthew made last season?
Yeah.
Looked similar.
Yes. Because he's seen a real one at that point.
Yeah.
Because it was his, and then he also made a fake one, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Here's what I think. I think they should know that it's fake. Mm-hmm. And if they don't, I'm concerned. Because, again, they have seen real idols.
Do you think the idea of them thinking it's fake, or knowing that, let's say they know that it's fake, right?
Right.
Do you think that's why Dee is okay, well, we still don't like Sifu, but he has a fake idol and sort of stuff. But what if we wrote J. Maya because she's so distracted and such a liability? Maybe that's kind of more evidence of why maybe we should vote out J. Maya, that maybe we didn't see or something, because it's just we know this idol is fake, so we know it's just down to these two. So let's just vote out. The resume building is not really going to come with Sifu.
Yeah.
It's a false flag. Let's just vote out J. Maya, because she's all over the place. We're going to drop a ton of bricks. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We already know we're going to lose Sifu at the merge. She's a liability. We just get her out now.
That's fair. I think if you're J. Maya and you, the problem is that his idol isn't real.
Yeah.
But if it were, this would be, a great place for her to be, of, Dee and Julie working with her, quote unquote, to convince Sifu that he's safe, that it's J. Maya that's going home, and go to Sifu and tell him to play his idol, and they vote out Dee or Julie.
Yeah.
They hey, they're going to vote for me, or they're telling you they're voting for me, but they want you to feel safe, so you don't play your idol. Play your idol. We vote out Julie or Dee.
But it ultimately wouldn't work because
he doesn't have a real idol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm interested. I don't really know what Dee and Julie are thinking, because presumably all of this hinges on whether or not they truly believe Sifu's idol is real or not.
Yeah. I'm curious to see if they think it's real.
And as far as I can tell, Julie thinks it's real, but again...
But Julie hasn't seen, as far as we know, Sifu's idol.
Yes, but Dee has.
We think Dee's the only one that has.
We think Dee is the only one that has. And we both assume they've seen Austin's. I don't remember, but I assume they did.
I think they did because they went to the well and got it.
They didn't go to the well. They gave the hammer to Austin and Drew, and they got it.
Yeah, but then didn't he come back and show it to them?
I think he did. I'm pretty sure he did, but I don't remember. Yeah. Anyways, we get to the immunity challenge and the reward challenge. Basically, the challenge is that you have to individually race through a maze, get bags with keys in it. Open up these bags, open up the key. Hopefully, the key matches to some sort of lock. Use this pole thing to undo a rope, which will release a bunch of sandbags at the top. Use those sandbags to slingshot and hit 3 targets. The reward is also the winning team not only gets immunity and flint and all that stuff. The reward is for number 1, you get 10 fish, so you can cook up, and then second place gets 5 fish that you can cook up. So good rewards at all. We also later find out that this is also going to be a journey opportunity for some people, but we'll get to that. Do you think you can do this immunity challenge? By the way, I always like to asking these questions to you. Do you think you can handle this one? Which part would you think? Because they did split up specific people. There was the 3 maze runners, and they were the same as the slingshotters, and then whoever was the pole person and the key person. Which do you think would be best at, and do you think you can do well at this?
I don't know. I think I'd be pretty good at the platform part.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
The pole part you were saying that's the one where you had to like untie the thing.
Untie the bags to get the keys, figure out what key it is, and then use the pole to untie the rope to get the sandbag.
I want to think that I'd be good at the pole thing, but I don't know that I would have, without previously seeing it, done what Mama Julie, and she kind of twisted it up so there wasn't a lot of slack.
Yeah.
Going into it as she was going, and that was really smart. I don't know. I think that I would think that I'm really good at untying things and untangling things.
Mm-hmm. You're also very good at tangling things.
Rude. 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 I think I would be good at most of this challenge. The slingshot thing, I'm part of me is I don't know if I'd be good at that. I want to think that I would be.
Yeah.
I think I'd be able to get enough strength to get the right distance.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'd be good at aiming that thing. I don't know. I want to think I'd be good at the slingshot, but I think I'd only be good at half of it.
That's interesting. I mean, I still think he might be better at the whole maze and slingshot than the rope gimmick. Because like you said, you wouldn't be able to come up with that thing as you admitted.
Maybe after a minute, but not as quickly as she did.
Sure. But yeah, I think you would do well at this.
Do you think you'd do well at this challenge?
I don't know, because the maze being, like I said, 6'5".
And bad knees.
Bad knees. I'm going to die.
You would be able to get that pole one.
Climbing
reach the top one.
Climbing the ladder, I can easily get to. Climbing that ladder, I can do 2 steps. I'm there.
Going underneath, though.
Yeah, going underneath, I'm screwed. And maybe that's why they put Drew in there. Drew at the pole, because it was the same idea. He was too tall for it. I think I could maybe do well at the pole. I'm fairly fine with undoing knots quickly. And, I think I'll be fine. Maybe I'll be as good as Drew, probably, and he was the worst one, I guess. Speaking of, basically, Caleb gets a strong lead of Lulu at the maze. J. Maya makes up a bunch of maze time for Reba. Coming out of the maze, Lulu, then Reba, then Bello. So Lulu is in the lead. But Reba makes up some time when Julie finds the key on the first try, which is huge. And as you already said, Julie does a really good job, moving the pole and finessing the rope and everything. So Julie nails it. Bello gets really behind because of Drew. They get to the slingshots. Reba wins first, then Lulu, and then ultimately Bello loses. So kind of the people that hurt Bello the most would probably be, honestly, Drew. He was the one that felt like he was eating the most amount of time. They weren't the best at the maze. They were third in the maze, so they're already behind, and then Drew just kind of made them more behind.
I mean, J. Maya made up fantastic time for Reba.
Yeah. She was a huge, massive help. So good on her, I gotta say. We then get the journey surprise, and it's revealed that J. Maya, Kelly, and Austin are going to go on the journey. And why they pick Austin? Because, as J. Maya said, we want to get information from him. And Austin tells his tribe, no way.
Why would you say that out loud?
Don't know. I don't know why anyone would say that out loud.
Would you say that out loud?
Yeah. This seems like such a bad idea.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, but what would you say instead of that? Why you picked Austin?
I don't know. There's no better reason. I don't know why you would go with Austin.
We used to be on the same tribe. It's a nice chance to catch up.
Yeah?
I don't know.
Maybe it was... But do you think you get that from Drew? I guess they didn't think they'll get that from Drew. Maybe you're right. Maybe it was the same tribe gimmick as well. Even then... I guess Reba at this point is just the old Reba, because they voted out Sean already. So it is like maybe the idea of getting it from Austin. We have a relationship with Austin. But if that's the case, don't send J Maya. You send like D or Julie. Because then you could properly get information.
Yeah.
But they did a rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah.
They did a rock, paper, scissors, and J Maya went.
Which, did she win?
I don't know what happened.
I saw scissors from J Maya and rock from D.
Yeah. So D would have won.
D would have won.
Yes.
I'm so confused.
I think what happened is that they were just trying to have J Maya go because to play up the Sifu idea of she's on the outs and all the stuff. She needs to go on the journey and get the thing because she was on the outs or whatever. But I don't know. I don't really understand what was happening there, to be honest.
I'm so confused.
Yeah, I think that's fair. At Bello, they respectfully have scramble conversations, as they put it. Bellold is what I settled on with there, is thinking Drew. Bellold being Kendra and Brando. They're sort of thinking Drew as the vote. Brando tries to give Drew his shot in the dark to be safe and say, let's just vote for Kendra. Drew then says no need, and Brando sort of says in an interview that was a bluff because he's voting for Drew anyways. He doesn't really care. It's him and Kendra and Emily are going to vote for Drew anyways, as he believes. So he's just kind of using it as a bluff to try to make sure he's safe. This sort of creates a whole controversy, a whole domino effect for the rest of these conversations where Brando initiates a conversation of like kind of let's keep me safe and y'all can vote out Kendra because I know it's between the two of us.
Yeah.
Which Drew reads as Brando wants to work with us four. Brando, Emily, Drew, Austin. So he is reading it as that. Brando is reading it as, I just want to be safe, let's vote out Kendra. You all can vote out Kendra instead. Knowing that it's the three majority, I don't really want to work with you guys. And Drew's reading it as, he wants to work with us. So this then creates a whole domino effect with different conversations, with different people talking. Emily is getting caught up in all these lies and thinks that Drew is lying to her about, because Drew tells Emily that, oh yeah, he wants to work with us. And then Emily talks with Brando and Brando's like, that's not what I said to Drew. So now they think Drew is lying. And so the whole domino effect. We get to the journey, but before we get to the journey, Emily talks the stories to Drew. Emily thinks Drew might be lying. Drew fully denies it because, as I sort of said, I think he thinks he's not lying at all. I think he thinks he's telling the truth, which in a way, from that different viewpoint, he is.
Well, no, he's not.
He's lying?
Or he's not lying.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm saying he doesn't believe that he is lying. He thinks he is telling the truth. He's just looking at it in a different perspective than Brando. I don't think
perspective matters. Brando is actively lying.
Okay.
Because, yes, they talked about that, but Brando threw it out there to Drew. Mm-hmm. And he knows that he can't tell them that. Mm-hmm. And he knows that came up with Drew. Drew called him out and said, he brought this up to me.
Yeah.
Which he did.
Yeah.
Drew's not saying we didn't talk about that. Drew's saying Brando pitched that to me.
Yeah.
So Brando's covering his tracks by saying, oh, Drew's lying. He pitched that to me.
Yeah.
Like, he came up with that idea.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Brando's actively lying. I don't think it's a matter of perspective. I think he's making it seem like a matter of perspective.
Okay.
I think he's actively lying to cover the fact that he pitched something to Drew, and now Drew, thinking that it would go well, and it didn't. And Drew's like, this is what this kid told me.
Yeah.
And Brando's like, shit, I got to cover my tracks.
Yeah. I can see that. I can see the argument. I'm sort of viewing it as like two different moment happens and two different perspectives of what that moment meant. But I can also see your point of he's denying essentially what Drew is saying, which I think to what I'm saying, he denies because he's like, that's not what happened. But he's also saying, as you're saying, he's lying to Emily because it's not what happened. This other thing happened. But he doesn't seem like he's explaining what actually happened.
The argument is not whether or not they talked about Kendra.
Yeah.
It's who came up with that idea.
Yes.
And it was Brando.
Correct.
But he's saying it was Drew.
Yes.
Because it's
Good
not
point.
a matter of
Good
perspective.
point.
It's a lie to cover his tracks.
That's a great point. That I appreciate. That is a really good point. And maybe that is what ultimately decides Brando to go home.
Yeah.
We'll talk about more. On the journey, they trek up a mountain and they have to choose between two different items.
I just love this. It's like, oh, you guys just did a challenge? Here you go. Hike up a mountain.
Hike up a mountain, no big deal. They have to choose one majority rules between sustenance and strategy. Basically, sustenance is 3, I want to say it was ham, tomato, lettuce.
It looked like turkey sandwiches.
Maybe turkey.
I could go for a turkey
Beautiful sandwiches.
Nice bread. Did you see that bread?
Good-looking bread. Good-looking white
I'm
bread.
with Austin on this.
And a full pitcher of orange juice.
I would totally take this.
Vitamin C. And on the other side is strategy. These are amulets with various rules. We've seen these amulets or beware advantages or whatever pop up on a journey last season as well. I don't exactly remember all the rules, but if I recall correctly, it is basically that these amulets are powerful. They are tied to each other. If someone gets eliminated that is holding an amulet, then it becomes more powerful. Mm-hmm. So if you have 3 amulets, I believe it's an extra vote. 2 amulets, it's something, and then one steal a vote. And then 1 amulet is basically an idol. Last season and the season before that, I believe, no one really works together. They just kind of work with each other, which is Austin's point. Austin says that he doesn't really want the amulet. He sort of sees it as a curse because now it's just like, oh, these people are going to vote me out, and I have to now vote them out before they can.
It gives people more ammo to go after him, which is a good point. He shouldn't want it.
Yeah, no one's used these amulets before as a way to make an alliance and work together.
Yeah, and he needs the sandwich.
Yes.
Austin just wants a damn sandwich. Give that boy a sandwich.
In his defense, he is not going back home for food. He's not going back home to a bunch of fish.
Yeah, I say, give that boy a damn sandwich, Kelly.
Mm-hmm. J. Maya is the one that's pro-amulet. She's going back home with the most amount of food, right? Yes, she's going back home with 10 fish. She has a bunch of food waiting at home. She needs strategy. She needs power in this game. So why not pick up some extra votes, steal a votes, maybe a whole ass idol? Why not? Doesn't hurt. She could use it. So it kind of comes down to Kelly. She's in the quote-unquote power position.
I wouldn't say this is the power position.
Okay.
I would argue that the power position is where you're between 2 alliances or 2 groups of people that give you the power of like having that position.
She's between 2 groups of people.
This is a curse. She has to decide what these 2 groups are doing, and it's going to be bad for her either way.
Yes, she is not deciding which group to go towards. She is describing what the whole group is deciding for.
Yeah.
I guess that's a fair point.
And I think Kelly made the wrong choice.
So Kelly ultimately decides amulet. Austin says that he doesn't see this as a civil alliance. He sees this as a civil war, which is a good line, because he fully believes, I'm treating this like a full-on idol. I have to eliminate these people.
Right. And I think that he is right. I think Kelly made the wrong choice. I think from her perspective, you have 2 people who used to be on a tribe together, so they have some sort of relationship. You don't know how strong that relationship is.
Austin and J. Maya.
Yeah, they could have an alliance. You don't know. Who, like, in order to have more power, would easily vote you out.
Yeah.
Like, you are putting a target on your back. Like, this amulet is not really an advantage for you until the other 2 are out. What are the odds that you'd be able to convince people to get both J. Maya and Austin out before you get out?
Yeah.
Like, also, again, 2 people who have a history of, like, they were on the same tribe together. So they have more of an established relationship. Whether or not it's, like, a strong alliance, you don't know.
Yeah.
They have a more of an established relationship than you have with either of them. So, like, the first step, honestly, you'd be the first one to go.
Yeah.
They could convince the rest of Reba to team up and get Kelly out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think that that's putting herself in a bad position for not that big of a payoff, to be honest.
Yeah, because the alternative is not you might not get a lot of power. It puts it, because it's like, as Austin maybe sort of puts it, is like you get a monicum of power. that has the potential to become more powerful. But at the same time, you also give that to 2 other people that know you have it, that know that they can get more powerful if they eliminate you.
Right.
So you get an immediate modicum of power and a giant target.
Yeah. And this is how you benefit from this situation. You don't really need the food, right? Mm-hmm. Austin needs the food.
Yeah.
So stop looking at it like food versus not food. Mm-hmm. Start looking at like possible alliance.
Yeah.
Give the boy a damn sandwich.
He could be thankful and want to work with you.
And you know what you do? You're going home for food. You give him your sandwich. You say, let's do the sandwiches. You can have mine.
Yeah. Oh, we already got fish. I know you're not having anything. I'll give you my food. And he might want to work with you.
You open that door. You give that boy a damn sandwich.
There we go.
Feed him.
There we go. Because at the end of the day, you get a modicum of power on a giant target that can be, all this other stuff. You also don't want to get other people power.
Yeah.
The potential, the target is too big on your back to get a sliver of power, and you can have to try to maneuver your way into get more.
You have to know that Austin's a strong player. Whether or not you've experienced a lot of camp life with him, which she hasn't.
He's at least an athletic looking dude that does pretty well in these challenges.
Yeah.
And they all believe that we might be heading into a merge.
Yeah. I think then this is the only time I'll ever say to a woman, give that man a sandwich. Don't take this out of context, folks. This is the only time.
This plays into you having this plays into you versus last season as well, where it was you're always pro men and you were dogging on the women a lot more. Jessie, the weird sexes. The men are better at the game than the women. Get the man a sandwich.
You said that. I never said that. Give the boy a damn sandwich.
And why not? And while you're at it, why not a nice cool beer?
If you feed him a sandwich, you could get something nice out of it. You could get a nicer
God, we have to move on. I'm so sorry. We have to move on. So Austin comes back. He tells everyone kind of the half-truth. The half-truth being that it was between food and it was between this sweat challenge. Whereas basically you have to do something to get something. He said that they went and did something, but no one got anything. So he kind of does that. He does reveal, however, what he actually found to Drew, and Drew's like, okay, good. That's good to know for later. We'll know to target these people at the merge. So we know that, putting in the back of our head, Austin, Drew, they're going to try to target Jay, Maya, and Kelly moving forward.
Well, then he also says that we should tell Emily.
Yes.
Which I think is true. If you're trying to get her trust, this is a good opportunity to be like, okay, we're bringing you in on this.
Yep. I was thinking about that, by the way. So what kind of comes down as Austin figures it out is down to we use basically all of our advantages to save. And it turns out it doesn't really need all your advantage, but at least some of your advantages to save. To be safe, or get Emily's help, or kind of both. Because even if you get Emily's help, that's 2-2, so you're going to have to use some advantages to make sure you have 3-2 in the majority of the vote, which ends up happening.
Yeah.
So the vote at this point is also flipped from Kendra and Drew to Brando and Drew. We think because of the whole lying issue with Brando, Emily's unsure which way to go, and that's how we head up into Tribal Council. I wanted to talk as well, before we do that, talking about this whole advantage thing and using advantages as a way to talk about stuff. We talked previously in the last season of Scurvivor series about how the knowledge level of this game, there has gotten to this point of you can have a better chance of winning if you don't have pieces of information you don't tell anybody. And we've learned, and I think it's become more apparent in this season, that one of the reasons that may be is because people are using their knowledge as currency to curry favor for tribal alliances, which then those people end up telling everybody.
Yeah.
So it's it is you're using it to try to curry favor and create an alliance, but it ends up backfiring because now everyone knows what you have for the most part.
Yeah.
Most of the time. Is that a good way to do it, or do you just need to be Caleb and ball up and slam some dunks and just dap up every single cool kid on the block.
I think Caleb's strategy is much stronger because like, yes, information is currency, but it only has value if there are people that don't have it. This capitalism 101, you need poor people to make capitalism work, which is why capitalism sucks.
Sexist and pro-capitalist.
No, I'm not pro-capitalist. Did you not hear me say it sucks?
Go ahead. No, sorry, I apologize.
So like the only way that information as a currency has value is if there are people that don't have it.
Yeah.
And I think that you're right that like there are people that you tell and like they tell everybody and then it has no power anymore. It has no value.
Yeah. It still has some power. Like it still has an idol or whatever.
Yeah, but it doesn't have value in terms of the social game.
Yes.
And I think that
if anything, it's detrimental.
Yeah, I think Caleb is relying more on his social skills, just as like in general.
Because ultimately, what it is, it becomes like a crutch to your social game. It can help you.
Yeah.
It can help you, but if that information gets out too far, it becomes detrimental.
Right, and I think that he's being selective with the information that he is giving out, and I think that's good. I think that's a better strategy than like, giving all of your information to your alliance or like saying I have this information. Like in Drew and Austin's case, like yes, you needed that because you needed Emily.
Yeah.
You're going to tribal, you need Emily's vote. That's a time to like share information.
Yes.
But I think this misconception that like you give all your information to your alliance, it's just like then everybody has it. It doesn't have value anymore. It doesn't have pool with people.
Yeah, because smart players will take that and turn it into gold for themselves.
Yeah.
Tribal council. I didn't really get a lot of juice out of this tribal council. I don't know about you, but I didn't really figure out a lot of stuff. Emily does a good job of being a realist about like, well, okay, well this is all we're talking a lot of flowery, but really it's like this is what's happening. The theme is basically that there isn't really like, as sort of Emily puts it, or it kind of unveils further out, is that there isn't really a new Bello, which is why, of course, I couldn't come up with a name, because there isn't a new Bello. It's just kind of a bunch of old alliances that a bunch of people are looking forward to an upcoming merge, as Drew put it, this tornado or hurricane that's coming their way, and just a bunch of people that are looking for, I just kind of want to get out of this tribe and go back to my old alliances.
They're just waiting it out.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're just trying to buy some time. There is really no new Bello. It is just old Bello, old Reba, Emily is kind of new Bello, I guess, right? Because she is willing to work with these people. But I think Emily is going to go back to Caleb
because also Lulu is like barely a tribe anymore.
Yeah, Lulu is 2 people. So I think ultimately she will go back to Caleb. But I guess we'll see what happens. The juice also comes from here is that Austin sacrifices his vote to continue his idol streak, to not use his vote and to make his idol more powerful. But he restores his vote with Drew's goodwill advantage,
which we had a feeling they would do.
Yes, which makes sense. We had questions of whether or not it would still count as sacrificing your vote for your idol. We had some concerns about that, but it turns out no, he can use it. You can sacrifice your vote, get it back with the goodwill advantage, and you're good to go. And it still counts towards making your idol stronger, which is good to know. The vote ultimately comes down to 3-2. Brando gets eliminated. It's revealed that Emily sided with Austin and Drew. They seem very ecstatic to vote out someone. Brando's gone. Kendra's shocked. And next week is the merge.
I think that would have been such a great opportunity to get out Austin or Drew.
Yeah, so let's talk about it.
Do
you think Emily made the right decision? That's the question. Does Emily make the right decision?
I don't know. I think she knows that right now Caleb is her only strong alliance.
Kind of. She maybe thinks that maybe Austin and Drew are strong, but I think...
And I think she's trying to solidify that here.
I fear that she's a J Maya, where she's going to get dropped immediately.
Yeah, I don't think she sees that. I think she feels like she's solidifying this alliance. And honestly, like, I understand that. You want to be aligned with the strong players. but usually the strong players already have like a pretty solidified alliance.
Yeah.
It's more likely you'll get dropped from that than if you round up the underdogs.
Yeah.
Because you might have the numbers there. People are going to start picking, if you're in that alliance, people are going to start picking that alliance off one by one.
Yeah.
What you like, this is a good opportunity for her to like get on the ground floor of like a numbers alliance of like the not as like obviously strong players.
Yeah.
Of like Kendra and Brando, team up with them, get out Austin or Drew, break up that alliance a little bit.
Yep.
And then moving into the merge, you have to fight off like 3 people.
Yeah. Instead of 4.
Instead of 4.
Yeah. And I think to her, we are unsure of whether or not she knows about Dee and Julie working with Austin and Drew previously.
Yeah, but still, you can, even without that information, you can assume that if Drew and Austin are like a really tight-knit alliance,
Yeah.
and they are also very strong players, you can assume that they have solidified some sort of group that is going to stick with them.
In theory.
Right?
Yeah. In theory. Yeah.
You can assume that. So, what are the odds that they'll keep you after the merge because you're not part of that group?
And
even if you are part of that group, you're the first to go.
And Drew's the one that's really talking up old alliances.
Yeah.
So he is obviously not just referencing Austin, right? Like
Right.
that'd be a weird thing for him to be like, old alliances. Well, you're in an alliance with a guy right now that's sitting right next to you.
Yeah.
Really, he's talking about old alliances back on Reba. That he seems to him more valuable here. So yeah, you can still bring Emily into the fold, but she's number 5.
And you're the first to go. Whereas, like, you could get on the ground floor of, like, again, the underdogs, gathering up the numbers of all the people that aren't these players, and go after them.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I really think she shouldn't have sided with Drew and Austin. I get it that it's like she feels vulnerable in a position of, like, she's trying to make new alliances, and, like, the strong players want you. It's hard to not like being wanted by the strong players.
Exactly.
But you're only wanted as long as you're useful.
Yes.
Versus like when you're in an alliance with people that have similar goals, you're useful as long as you guys are like together.
Yeah. And I think when the merge comes, I think she's getting dropped. I think J. Maya's getting dropped. I think there's a chance she sticks around just a little bit longer because they need more than 4 votes for something to happen. But, you know, J. Maya's gone. Kelly's going to be gone.
Yeah. And I wonder if she is using this as like an opportunity to pitch to like Caleb, like, let's link up with these guys. Like, I have an alliance with them. That gives her value to Austin and Drew. If I can bring Caleb into this. But I don't think that would be good for Caleb.
And Drew has a relationship with Caleb already.
Yeah.
That's safety without advantage. That's where he got that from.
I don't think that would be good for Caleb.
That'd be a massive 6.
I feel like, well, maybe initially, maybe you want to be linked up with them. But I think in the long term, you don't want to, if you already feel like you're going to be a threat, I don't think you want to be part of the big alliance that's going to be the target.
And I think the big 4 alliance is going to realize that, oh, Caleb is also a threat. Let's vote him out.
Yeah.
While he thinks he's safe, let's vote him out. We've seen that all the time where these big, massive alliances corrupt immediately and start eating each other from the inside.
Yeah.
You almost need to link up Caleb, J. Maya, Emily, Kelly,
Kendra. Well,
Brando's gone.
Well, I was saying
Kendra.
that would have been, I think, a smart move to keep him.
Well, even what's left. Caleb, Emily, you bring in Kendra. That might be tough.
You need to start building a team of people you could actually beat at the end.
You have, so let's talk about it, actually. Let's do an Avengers team. Emily, Caleb, right? A good start. Katora, we can add to that, right? That's 3. Katora might be able to convince bringing in Kendra if you end up going this direction. It might be tough because Emily's in there, but you could maybe bring in Kendra. You could also bring in Jake. Maybe you could also bring in Kelly. Kelly would be interested in getting out Austin because Austin has the amulet thing. She'll become more powerful.
Yeah.
So that's a good person to bring in. Maybe you bring in Bruce as well because it's Bello versus Reba. You got a bunch of people right now. You can maybe bring in Sifu because he's severely on the outs.
Yeah.
But he can also be swayed by Reba and bring in as that 5th vote. J. Maya, same thing. I think that they're going to gun for her though, so maybe you bring her into your anti-Reba alliance. It's possible. That's the situation I would love to see is these factions against each other. Lulu and Bello against Reba. And I guess not Sifu. It's not Sifu and J Maya, but maybe it's smart for Reba to bring in Sifu and J Maya to have more numbers for them, to have a full out war. That's what I would love to see. It just remains to be seen. That is it for this episode of episode 5 of Survivor, but we're not done here, of course. We got to talk MVPs. We got to talk about points.
Do we also want to talk about the possibility that Brando went home with?
Yeah, so you talk about this because you found this online about his exit interview. His exit interview.
So at the Drop Your Buffs, Hold Your Butts, apparently Brando found something in his buff, like a little package, and stuffed it in his shirt or his pants or whatever, and didn't read it. And then I guess he said I should have read it while I had the opportunity because that window closed and it was taken from me.
Whatever the advantage was taken from him.
I think that he means it was literally taken from him. I think what happened was he went back to the camp, and I guess in the morning or at the end of the day, they pulled him for an interview. Mm-hmm. And he said, "Is this about what I found in my buff?" And I guess they actually took it from him. I didn't know if he meant metaphorically the opportunity was taken from him. I think they actually took it from him because I think, like we were talking about it, we think that whatever it was, he had to use that day.
Yes, he had to use the day of the swap.
Yeah, which makes it seem like maybe he could have picked his tribe. Like he can swap with one person.
Or he goes to a different tribe and he gets a bonus something.
Yeah.
Advantage or something.
Why would you not read it?
Yeah, I don't understand why he didn't read it. And
I get why he didn't read it in the moment.
Yeah, but a whole day later?
Well, I don't know how much later it was, but like maybe it was that night.
Yeah.
But still, find a time. Read the thing. Always read the thing.
Or maybe it's something that like there's an idol in the challenge, which has happened every once in a while, where now he only knows where the idol is. He can get to it. Later
but he would have to read that in front of everybody.
He would have to read it and then find it before in the immunity challenge, because remember the swap happens, then they leave, go back to their teams, their new teams, and then they go to the immunity challenge. Maybe it was like, oh, there's an idol. You are the only one that knows where it is because we're telling you where it is. Go to that spot during the immunity challenge and you can get an idol, which has happened before. But whatever it was, it's something that only worked for him for a day, and he
and he got like Brando
ran out of time. Something that could have maybe saved him here.
Yeah.
Which would have changed the situation drastically. Maybe Kendra would have gone home. Maybe Austin or Drew could have gone home. But who's to know? So before we get to the points, let's talk about MVPs. I'm really unsure how I'm thinking for MVPs. Like I said, I don't really like necessarily voting for the loser tribe. So like Austin or Drew. I mean, Austin... losing tribe, doesn't get immunity, doesn't get reward. He doesn't get what he wants in the sustenance versus strategy situation. He does get something, gets an amulet, an advantage, but he doesn't get what he wants. So he kind of gets a loss, kind of get a win.
Yeah, there's not really like a standout player here.
Yeah.
I have a pitch, though.
I would love to hear it.
J Maya.
J Maya? Why do you think J Maya?
Because, well, no one...
This is not your final pick, by the way.
No, this is my pitch.
Okay.
I think, one, she did fantastic in the challenge. They ended up losing, but she's the reason they made up a lot of time.
Yes. Reba ultimately won that challenge.
Oh, they did?
Yes.
I forgot she was Reba.
Yes.
Reba won the challenge. Mm-hmm. 2, I think that while she may not be making the best moves possible, like, one, she is taking the opportunity to fall on the sword and try and solidify her alliance. She's trying to come up with a plan to put her in a position to like have something happening that's not her.
It's a good move. It just comes down to what Dee and Julie do that with that move.
Yeah, and if she has a backup plan.
She
also
setup.
was able to convince Kelly to join her side because she wanted the amulet. She knows she needs an advantage.
Yeah.
Whether or not it's the best advantage in the world, she's trying to take that opportunity, and she was able to convince Kelly to take that opportunity with her.
Yeah.
Even while Kelly had to stare at Austin's hungry face.
His hungry, beautiful face. Not his shoulders.
No, we're not denying he has a beautiful face.
Yeah. That lounging chair he does in the interviews.
Yeah, like what a pose. just like I'm laid back, but I'm also serious.
Of course.
I think she's
an interesting case.
Was an active player in this episode more than she has been.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I think that's why I'm pitching her.
And I think of Reba, she's really the only person. Sifu didn't really figure out anything. He did make a fake idol. Whether or not he tricked people, who knows? When did he make that fake idol, and when did he start tricking people? Who knows? Dee and Julie, I don't really see a big case for them. On Lulu, Caleb again helping his tribe win. He did a great job in the maze. But
that's expected of him now.
I know he's really good at it. He's might be the only real case though. Bruce, no. Jake, no. Kelly, she got an amulet. She was a deciding vote where she can decide how it goes. She got an amulet. That's good. She was also on a winning team. She linked up a little bit with Caleb. That also could help with Caleb's resume here. Katora, no, definitely not. Definitely not. She got caught looking for an idol. I think maybe Kelly. I think Caleb. I think J Maya is strong. And then I don't really know about. I mean, maybe Emily. Maybe if you want to say that, but again, they went to tribal council, all of this stuff. Maybe Austin because he did end up getting something. Not Drew. He was the worst one on his team.
He got 1 point this episode.
So I don't really know, but I have an idea. I have an idea now. I think there's a lot of different cases. Do you know who you're picking? Mm-hmm. Okay. I think you laid out a very strong case for someone, so we're going to say it at the same time. 3, 2, 1, J Maya. Yeah, 100%. J Maya. You made a very strong case and really laid out quite well.
It just made sense to me because I feel like there wasn't a lot of standout action this episode, but I think that there was, again, one person who was trying to be an active player.
Yeah.
Which is
and we didn't see a lot of Reba.
A big step up for her.
We didn't see a lot of Reba per se in this episode, but of what we saw, she was the best on Reba.
Yeah.
Whether or not it set her up well for the future remains to be seen, but we'll see how it turns out.
For this episode.
She at least has an amulet. She at least has some sort of power. So that brings us to the point totals. We'll start off with your team. So your team, Drew, as you already said, got 1 point. He just survived a week. Jake got 16 points. He won the immunity challenge and the reward challenge, and he survived a week. I think maybe he got something else. You have it in front of you, do you?
I think he cried on no, that was
He did cry on camera. Because he was upset about the thing.
He cried on camera.
J Maya, 16 points. We gave her 10 bonus points here. She got an amulet, she got immunity, she got reward, and she survived a week, and 10 bonus points for being the MVP. Between the two of us. And then Katora, 16 points. She said a curse word. She survived a week, immunity, and reward.
Yeah.
For Katora. A lot of big points. So that brings you up to 59 points for this episode.
Woot.
Which brings your points total to 257 points. On the other hand, Julie and Caleb both got 11. They both survived the week. 1 reward, 1 immunity. And then Kelly, same thing, 16 points, reward, immunity, got an advantage in the amulet, and then survived a week. Brando, there's been a trend where the loser that gets kicked out tends to get a bunch of points.
Right before leaving.
Only gets 10 points here.
Yeah.
He gets eliminated via blindside. I don't know. We're getting these point totals, by the way, off of global.tv for their Survivor fantasy pool.
You were trying to be consistent.
They say blindside. He knew he was going home, so I don't know what they meant by voted out on a blindside.
I feel like because...
I really don't know. I really don't understand.
I don't think that was much of a blindside. But we'll give it to you because they gave it to you.
They gave it to me. So I get 10 points. Only 10 points there. For being voted out, he gets 10 points, essentially. Which also means I lose another person because Brando was on my team. So that means my team now is only Julie, Kelly, and Caleb. Well, you have 4, Katora, Jake, Drew, and J Maya. So that's rough. That is rough for me. But it's not the end of the world. Right now, it's a 37-point difference between us. It's not great. But But it's not the end of the world. Next week, as people may remember from early in the season, is the merge. We assume there's going to be an earn the merge situation, so the merge won't officially happen till the end of the episode, I guess. Mm-hmm. So we're going to see how next episode plays out. Someone will be eliminated. Who is that going to be? I don't know. I think there's a lot of potential candidates right now. So it's all going to see how it fleshes out. But someone's going to go home. It could be someone not on our team. It could be you. It could be me. I'll be down to 2 people. That would be terrifying. I really hope not.
I thought you meant like literally it could be you. It could be me. It's like plot twist.
I could be eliminated.
We just joined Survivor.
But we'll see what happens.
Could you imagine me having to do this podcast by myself because you got eliminated?
That would stink.
Yeah, it would stink.
Next week we will end up swapping out a player on our team. I think in this situation, I would love to add someone since I'm at 3, and if I go down to 2, that really stinks. But we agreed at the start of the season, we're not changing it. Maybe we'll change it for next seasons of episodes. But for right now, we are not. We are just going to be swapping out a player if we want to next episode after the merge.
Yeah.
Or into the merge, I guess, after whoever gets eliminated. So we talked about this before in our car ride, that there's a couple people we're considering in terms of what happens, but we'll see what happens next episode. We'll see how the new vibes, new alliances shake out, who gets eliminated. We're going to
make that decision at the end of recording our next episode.
At the end of next episode is when we'll make the decision of if we are going to swap anybody out, who are we swapping out? You and I have Kelly and J Maya. We already know they have 4 people gunning for them, presumably. So that's going to be a rough time. And now you also have Dee and Julie already having a conversation about maybe eliminating J Maya. I think J Maya might be first instead of Kelly.
Yeah.
Which that's actually a bad idea because I would vote out Kelly first because I think Kelly would be a stronger player.
Well, they're on different tribes, so.
Yes, but I think Kelly has better social skills and better athletic skills than J Maya. J Maya is not a hard play. Kelly is a threat. J Maya, I don't think is a threat, but she's an easy person to vote out.
Yeah, but they don't really know Kelly that well.
That's also true.
Yeah.
That's also true. Well, then that is it for this week's episode. Bean, did you have anything else to say before we leave here today?
Yeah. I just didn't get a chance to call Jamie from last season the human glitter bomb.
What? What?
She just is like, you know, when you get glitter bombed and it's like sparkly and it's like also the worst thing that happens.
Sure.
That's kind of how I feel.
Fair enough.
Every time she would get on camera.
Fair enough.
And also maybe we'll share this little doodle that I made of when Ryan said I would do well on the poll.
That is you on a
That's you.
That's me on a stripper pole?
Yeah, do you not see the headphones and the little goatee?
My apologies. My apologies.
Then I doodle a little, give that boy a sandwich.
Give that boy a sandwich while he's on the stripper pole.
Yeah, he's hungry. He's working hard.
I'm hungry. It's 12:30 now. We got to make some lunch.
Yeah.
Should probably make one of those home chef meals.
Somebody email us what we should eat for lunch.
Scurvivor series at gmail.com. SCURVIVOR.
Still waiting on your favorite psych quotes and episodes.
Series at gmail.com.
Don't be that group of people that hasn't watched Psych. Please, some of you have had to have watched Psych.
Please, for the love of God. Scurvivor series at gmail.com. Send in the email. We would appreciate it. We didn't talk about this, but we also previously, a couple weeks ago, talked about maybe having a guest for the merge episode. We can maybe figure out how to do that. That'd be fun. But maybe we'll figure out. Again, we're very close to our wedding. I'll say this much. We'll definitely be back next week for the merge episode.
You know who's going to be in town for our wedding?
Someone is going to be in town for wedding, but we have a lot of stuff happening for our wedding, so I'm not going to necessarily... When are we going to watch Survivor? When are we going to record? So
we may be a week behind after this week.
Yeah, so we'll see. Maybe we can have a merge guest. We'll see. We haven't figured that out yet for next week's episode. The week after that, folks, the 8th is when the Survivor series... when the Survivor episode comes out,
we will not be watching it.
We may have time to watch it. We will not be
watching it. We will have people in town, and we will not be watching it. I'm looking at you.
I know.
And I'm trying to give you the eyes. We will not be watching it. We do not have time.
I agree.
We have too much shit to do. We'll have too many people at our house. Unless everyone's like, we need a break. Let's all watch Survivor.
And then we can watch.
But we're not recording.
Yeah. Because we're probably not going to record our weddings.
Also, someone's gonna be sleeping in this room. So.
Yes, our wedding, which we have to clear out this room, by the way.
Yeah.
Our wedding is going to be coming up very soon, so we'll be having an episode out for you next week. The week following, there won't be an episode, but we'll come back, or maybe there will be an episode later in the week. We'll figure that out. We can do that, or we'll have a double episode of episode. It would be 7 and 8. So we'll figure out what's happening. We'll definitely be back next episode, and hopefully to sort of make up, maybe we try to have a guest. Might be a good idea. Yeah, okay, that's it for this week's episode. Do you have any last minute plugs? Bean, anything you enjoyed the past week that you want people to check out? Or anything you want to advice you want to give out to people? Any sort of stuff?
If you ever get married,
uh-huh,
and you can't afford it, no matter what your budget for your wedding is, hire a planner.
I think we've done a good job planning.
We have, but have I slept in the last 3 months?
The last 3 days, you have not slept.
Exactly. So just, if you have money, put it to good use and hire a planner. If you have to make
sure it's a good planner, because it's not worth it if you get a crappy planner.
For sure. If you don't have money, you can do this. I believe in you. Ask for help. You have friends and family who would happily help you with things. And buy nothing groups are amazing. We're borrowing tables and chairs. Thank you to the Atlanta area buy nothing groups, because they're awesome.
Yeah.
So that's my shameless plug.
All right. That's a beautiful shameless plug. And with that, we'll head out the door. We'll shut the shutters and not allow anyone else back in until next week for Scurvivor series. Goodbye, everybody. Jesus.